It was a Friday night in 2016. After spending some time at a pub, my girlfriend and I decided to leave because the music just wasn't right. We thought a drive along the beach would be a nice way to end the evening. I had a glass of gin and tonic earlier, which I know I shouldn't have driven after, but that's not the story here. We found a spot that was a bit dark and isolated. Some might think it's a terrible idea to park there and make out, and looking back, I agree. But in the heat of the moment, we just went for it. I kept the car running with the AC on because it was a very hot night. We jumped in the back seat of my coupe car and started making out. About 20-30 minutes in, while we were changing positions, something caught my eye in the side mirror. At first, I brushed it off, thinking it was just the darkness playing tricks, but after about 10 seconds of debating whether to check, I finally did. My eyes met the figure of a man wearing a black hoodie, standing right there. I immediately jumped to the front seat, ready to confront him, but he took off running. In his hand, there was something. I couldn't tell if it was a gun or a phone because it was so dark. I quickly drove my girlfriend home and headed back to my place. Instead of going straight to the police, I went home first. I took a shower, had a sandwich, and brushed my teeth to ensure I didn't smell like alcohol. Even though it was late, I had a feeling I had to report what happened, and I couldn't sleep. By the time I got to the station, it was around 4 a.m. I gave my statement, telling them I was tired after work, and decided to nap in my car. The police took fingerprints from the side of my car and assured me they'd be in touch if anything came up. Around 10 a.m., I got a call from a detective. I was still half asleep and didn't catch everything he said until he mentioned that the fingerprints matched a John Doe from a case 2 years ago. This person, along with 3 others, had murdered a family of 3 and stolen from their house. I was wide awake and panicking at this point. The detective advised me to take precautions and hung up. I didn't tell my girlfriend about any of this, but I never went back to that beach road again. It haunts me to think about what he was doing there. Was he just a pervert watching us? Or did he have more evil intentions? I still try to figure out what he had in his hand. Whether it was a phone, a gun, or something else. I'm just grateful we were lucky and he got scared away. It was January of 2019 when I met this girl on a dating app, which we will call Amy. We decided to meet up, and I suggested we go to a hotel, but she didn't want to be seen entering a hotel with a guy because her dad works in law enforcement, and she was afraid that somehow she might be seen by one of his workmates. So she suggested we go to her family's village house since no one was there, and we could be as loud as we wanted. I agreed, and she went there before me to turn on the heaters and get ready. Her parents' village house was an hour's drive away. As I got close, I noticed a black SUV parked on the street. It caught my attention because Amy's car was parked inside the garage, and there were no other houses around. When I got there, I sent my live location to a friend of mine just in case anything happened and briefed him. Honestly, he was more excited about me hooking up than concerned about my safety. When I told Amy about the SUV, she checked the home security system and said there were no signs of anything. We did a quick check of the house and there was no one inside. After about 4 hours, I took a shower and left, making sure Amy was safe. As I got out, that SUV was still parked there, which was odd. About 10 minutes into my drive, still in the village with no streetlights, I pressed on my brakes. That's when I saw the reflection of a car behind me. It didn't make sense. Why would someone be driving in the dark in the middle of the night? I turned on my back light bar, which I use for camping, and saw the black SUV that was parked next to the house. Now they knew I was aware of them. It turned into a heated chase downhill. I managed to call 911, but they were at least 10 minutes away because I was in the middle of nowhere. The SUV hit my car multiple times, trying to force me off the road. My back light bar helped a bit by blinding them at points, but their higher car had an advantage. Somehow I kept my car stable until I heard police sirens in the distance. The SUV must have heard them too, because they suddenly made a U-turn and sped away. A minute later, I met up with the cops and gave them all the descriptions they needed. They didn't find the people involved, but they did find the SUV, which turned out to be stolen. I had to give a statement to Amy's dad directly, which was super uncomfortable, but I got through it. That experience left me in shock. I don't know if they were planning to kidnap me or something worse. I learned my lesson not to go to a house in the middle of nowhere again. It was a rainy night when I finished my shift at the restaurant where I work. I usually park my car in a very dark spot behind the storage unit. It's pretty scary to be there at night, but it's the closest to the restaurant, and I like to get in my car as soon as possible after I leave. This night seemed like any other, except for one odd thing. The driver's door was unlocked. That struck me as strange, but I brushed it off, thinking it was just another mistake, like the time I forgot to roll up the passenger side window, which had ruined the seat. I drive an old BMW, an E36 to be precise. As I was driving home, I noticed some weird noises coming from the car. I didn't think much of it since it's an old vehicle. I got to my parents' house, parked the car in the garage, had some leftover dinner, watched some TikTok, took a shower, and went to bed. In the middle of the night, I woke up. Now, I'm a heavy sleeper and never wake up unless there's a very loud sound or if someone touches me. I don't remember hearing any sounds, and I don't know if someone touched me. In the morning, my mom woke me up with alarming news. There had been an intruder in the house, and some of our stuff was stolen. Here's the weird part. No phones, computers, or jewelry were taken. Instead, some underwear from the laundry, a blanket, and a blender were stolen. The point of entry was from the garage, specifically from my car. The police took fingerprints, but they didn't match anyone in their database. The scariest part of all this was realizing that someone had been in the room with me while I slept. I don't know what they were doing, but it's deeply disturbing to think that I drove home with someone hiding in my car, and that same person was in the house with me and my parents.